everybody. Thank you all for coming down tonight. We are live from Books and Books in Coral Gables, Florida, so a note to our internet audience watching at home. If you're interested in tonight's book, we can ship it to wherever you are in the United States free of charge. Just call the number on the screen. Well, this evening, Books and Books is very happy to be welcoming Ms. Leah Black, presenting her new book, Red Carpets and White Lies. We have a very special guest introducer this evening, Mr. Emilio Estefan, and I've been wanting to tell him how much Renacer is a big favorite at our house. But starting off the introductions this evening, please welcome to the microphone a noted local attorney, and he's here tonight as Ms. Black's husband, Mr. Roy Black.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Draw near, and you will hear a fabulous tale of the rich and infamous. Their names are changed only to protect the guilty. Red carpets, white lies, black tie, yellow Lamborghinis, red Ferraris, silver Bentleys, beauty queens, drag queens, Queen Latifah and Queen of Miami, dames, dolls, and divorcees with double Ds, politicians, publicists, psychiatrists, and plastic surgeons, stretch limos, stretch pants, and stretched faces, the 1%, the 99%, the 47%, and the no percent. And ladies and gentlemen, that's just in chapter 1. All out of the fevered imagination of our esteemed author. An author who last week, the New York Post, page 6, called the new Jackie Collins. On the other hand, I think she's a lot closer to Joan. But who's going to quibble about a little thing like that? Wait, I hear the music, or as Shakespeare would say, hark, I hear the music. The paparazzi are poised with their cameras. The Real Housewives are putting on their gloves, and the drama is escalating. It is time to slap on an extra layer of bright red lipstick and a double dose of black eyeliner. It is time to post those selfies on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And I am your humble servant tonight. I will be your maitre d'. If you want a better table, if you need to meet one of the beautiful people, or if you want anything else that's possible for me to do, please see me. And of course, I will help you out. I can't even talk. However, my most important task tonight is to introduce our host, who's going to introduce our author. Our host is a person well known and needs no introduction, but I will give one anyway, because I'm that type of a person. He is a brilliant musician, a producer, a director, a documentarian, a real estate mogul. He has his own rum company. I'm told he even is a distant relative of Gloria Estefan. And he is right in the center of culture in Miami. That, of course, assumes that there is actually culture in Miami. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you will give a warm welcome to the man of the hour who has the very prestigious honor of introducing the author, Emilio Estefan.
No wonder he's the best lawyer, I can tell you that. The way he speaks. So handsome, you know. Whatever he fights, people say, yes, don't worry. I mean, you always need an introduction. I just was backstage now over here. It was a guy with a kid, and he's like, take a picture with my kid, and the kid looks at me and says, who are you? I mean, so you never know. Listen, I never done this, but I wanted to do it because Leah definitely brings so many things to Miami. She brings all the glamour to Miami. She's done so much history. She's an entrepreneur, and she gives back. That's what I love about her. She always be ready to give back to the community and to help people, and that's what I admire both of them so much. And when I told her, I'm going to introduce you, probably this will be my first and my last. I will never introduce a book again. But something, it's a big privilege because, I love her. It's almost 1,000 people waiting outside. So try to buy the book as soon as you leave here so that she can sell a lot of books. And, it's a big day definitely for her. It's a big day for Miami. I think this book people are going to love. And at the end, probably this will be a movie in the end about this book. So thank you so much for coming. It's a big day for me too. And I don't think she needs an introduction. Just Mrs. Leah Black. Congratulations. There you go.
Shocked after these introductions. I will say my husband did a really good job. I didn't even know I read the book, to tell you the truth. Thank you all for coming. Before we start, we have some amazing guests here. My friend Bernie, who's a big Broadway producer, who's probably going to make my book into a big show. And of course, I want to thank Emilio, and my husband did a great job. And Paul Levine, he's here. He's an amazing author. His books are here. He's a bestseller, and he gave me my first quote for the book. So after that quote, everyone lined up and said, well, if he said it's good, I might want to read it too. So, and thanks to his wife, Marcia, who I told her if you have to withhold sex, but get the quote, I want to thank you. So here we are. Frank's here. Thank you so much. And all my friends, I thank all of you so much for coming. I know it's a big deal. To get me out of the house is a big deal. So I'm sure to come out on a weeknight like this to hear about a crazy book was a sacrifice of your time. And I appreciate all of you coming. My husband said, Vince, the book was called Red Carpet. He was going to dress black tie. I'm like, well, go ahead. I'm putting my jeans on. And then when I saw him all dressed up, I said, well, step it up a little bit from my jeans. But anyway, so I thought what we would do is have a few questions, and then they have the book signing over there for your books. So if you want to buy your books on the way over there, if you have them, if I have time, I can sign them really quick if you're in a hurry to go before we go over to the other side. Now, who has questions? Oh my God, the Fisher Island Queen, what are your questions? No, you're not in the book. It's not you. You're not the one. Okay.
What was your most, of all the galas, what was your funniest and most memorable event or happening?
Oh, there are two. One was when Vince Neil drank all day at the pool. You remember that? And stood up and had a few choice words for the audience, and then really couldn't sing, and I propped him up and kind of lip sync with him. That was one. And then I think when Little Wayne was at the hospital saying he had a blood clot and couldn't get on the stage, and we were calling saying get him on a gurney, while Patti LaBelle was saying if I don't go on right now I'm going to faint, I have diabetes. I would say those were memorable. We've kind of been through it all. Yeah. Yes.
I have a question, Leah. What inspired you to write this book?
Well, that's funny. I don't really know. I think I've always been a writer. I've always written. I used to write poems. I've written for magazines. I've done interviews with famous and infamous people. So writing is just something I consider a guilty pleasure and that I like to do, and I think it's fun and it's easy, and so I just write because I like to. So one day, someone said to me, you should really write a Jackie Collins type book about Miami. And I was like, well, I do know where a few bodies are buried, so perhaps I'll do that. So I did it really as a hobby. Then the show came along, and somehow one of the producers said, I heard you were writing a book. I said, oh yeah, I'm kind of almost done with it. He goes, well, let's just get a little clip of it. Well, now I was really committed to making sure I did it. So when I say I'm going to do something, I did it. So I finished it, and I sent it off to my agent, who sent it to a publisher. And to my surprise, the publisher said, I don't just want this book, I want 2 more. I want a series. And if you'll do a series, I'll give you a book deal. And I was like, that seemed really easy because everything in my life has been effort and struggle. I've always had to push the ball up the hill or make it happen or beg or plead or get on my hands and knees or, scream or cry or yell or whatever, beat the hell out of somebody to make stuff happen or drag Vince up on the stage, whatever. I've always been willing to do it. And I thought, well, that was really easy, so maybe it's better than I thought. And I sent it around to a few people, and I got some amazing quotes from amazing people. I was just shocked. Dave Barry gave me a quote, and Lisa Vanderpump, and Ross Matthews, Leslie from the Herald. I got one from OK Magazine, and I was like, maybe this book's really good. So I said, well, I'll show my face in Miami near my house, and we'll test it out from there. So you guys are the first and the only. The books have only been shipped here. And they ship them in a limited amount, so you'll need to get yours early before they have to order again. And so that's kind of what happened. Right. Good question. Thanks. Oh, okay.
Which do you find more productive of the creative process, research or drawing from experience?
The experience. I'm not a good researcher. I don't like really doing research. I kind of like to make it up and then figure out how to make the facts fit my story. My husband's a researcher. I don't want to bog down my brain with too much fact and information. I like to live in fantasy world and create my world as I go and hopefully make it happen that way. So I start backwards. I start with my vision and then I fill it up with my content. And it doesn't always serve me well, but somehow I always wind up landing on my feet. So that's how I did it. Yes?
Any backlash from people who think you're in it?
Well, there will be some backlash. Because there will be those that are offended that they're in it, but they're not sure they're in it. Then there'll be those that are offended that they're not in it. And then there'll be those that are offended because maybe I told a little more information than they wanted to hear, but I did it under a fictitious name with red hair instead of blonde and blue eyes instead of green and 5'2" instead of 5'7", and they live in Colorado and not in Miami. So there will be some offense going around, but at the end of the day, my friend from Vanity Fair that writes Vanity Fair said to me, when Truman Capote used to write a book, everyone complained that they weren't in it, and then the ones who were in it complained that they were in it. So they're all going to want to be in it, and they're all going to complain about it. And I'm like, well, I like that philosophy, so there I go. So I didn't hold back. Yes?
So what's happening with the housewives, and are you guys
Oh
get
my
together
God.
again?
Well, there's a little paragraph about the housewives in the book, but it's not from me, of course. It's from one of the characters who happens to be a housewife reality fan who has comments about the show and what it should and shouldn't be and yada, yada, yada. That person concluded that they should really drain the swamp and bring back the housewives to a fabulous group of women in Miami. But what's happening, I don't know. That's the truth of it. Next, yes.
Emilio mentioned there might be a movie. Who's going to play you?
Oh my God, well, who do you think is the most beautiful, fabulous, perfect woman? And let's start there. I don't know. That's a good question. I think he was just being gratuitous, but I would have no idea. I'd have to think about that one. It'd have to be some big mouth, boisterous, plain-spoken person that, opened their mouth one time too many. It'd have to be somebody like that. Okay. Next, do we have any more questions? Yeah.
How many people sitting in this room are in your book?
There are some, well, now that you mentioned it, there are some composites of people, and I would say actually in this room, at least 4. But I made them look fabulous until I didn't. Both sides. What I love about this book the most are the characters. I really love every character in this book. I really, really love them. They're colorful, they're multidimensional, they're funny, they're sarcastic, they're larger than life, they like to play hard, they're just hilarious. I love everything about the characters, even the dark ones I love, because the dark ones are so creatively evil that it's fascinating to watch. I mean, if you're going to be evil, be really good at it, don't be kind of good at it. So I love the characters in the book. So even if you're in it and you think you don't look good, I loved you where you. Listen, it's like everybody needs their 15 minutes. Okay? Yes.
How or who inspired you, or how were you inspired to do your charity work?
Well, that's an interesting question because, you know, when I started out doing the charity, I just kind of did it in my backyard, and I never expected it to take on the life that it did. And after like 10 years, I dragged Jason along with me. And then Antonio's been there from day one. And every time I'm like, oh, I just can't do another year of it. Antonio's like, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. It's going to be bigger and better than ever. And Jason's like, oh, you always say that. You always say that. And I just keep doing it because if I don't do it, the cause that I support, which is always the underdog, the kids that don't have anything, the kids that tennis shoes mean a lot to, the kids that would otherwise end up in jail. Most people, or a lot of people, really feel like just let them go to jail and throw away the key. They don't really care to try to help them. So if I stop doing it, it's like, who's going to do it? But I would love to build a team of people that would continue to do it because it dominates your life 3 to 4 to 5 months out of the year. I'm tired of asking everybody for money. I was so thrilled to be selling something for $25. Oh, thank God, instead of $2,500. And, you know, so I thought it was like one of those things that I heard a story about a guy that was on crutches, crutches because he had been shot in the back, getting hit in the crossfire of a feud at a school. And I went to support his little charity event, and I dragged people off the street and started selling them this crummy art, and I raised a little money, and I felt so sorry for them, and they were so grateful for every dollar that we brought in. I said, you know, I'll do another little one for you in my backyard. And 20 years later, we've outgrown my backyard, and we're in the big hotels, and it's gone from, you know, someone playing the flute from high school band to everybody, you know. So the bar gets higher every year, and we try to raise more money every year, and it gets harder and harder because now everybody's got a charity. In case you didn't know, everybody's got a charity. When I did it, nobody really had a charity. Now everybody's got a charity. So you got to pick those pockets year after year after year. And it gets harder and harder. But I just feel like if you've got a lot, give a lot. That's how I feel about it. I just don't think you can outgive the universe, and I don't think if you can't afford to give to a charity, you know, then how can you afford the $600 shoes that you're wearing to the party? So I don't have a problem asking people for money. Ask my husband. I don't even ask him. I just take it. And then if he says, what? I'm shocked and appalled you're not thrilled for me that I have this new possession. So that's my philosophy. So who else has a question? Oh my goodness. Now you got me worried about those people if they're in it. Oh my goodness. I really tried hard to camouflage. Yes.
I got one more. You're very political. That's how I know you.
Mm-hmm.
This is not touching on ground that is, are you okay with this?
Of course.
Sure.
100%.
How do you feel about her?
Hillary?
Yeah.
I feel like that unfortunately she has some baggage, but that baggage means she has a whole lot of experience. I think it's time that we lead with our hearts and souls instead of our testosterone and stop the warmongering. And I think that bringing women into the forefront of politics is a good thing. And I think she's qualified, and it's unfortunate she has some baggage to deal with. The difference between her baggage and everyone else's baggage is that her baggage has been displayed for years and years and years and years and years, so you know what you're getting. The next guy, it's all going to come out as it comes out. So nobody has clean hands in politics.
Going into Iraq.
She did, and I'm opposed to that.
I know.
She did, and I disagreed with that.
I know.
Yeah.
All right.
But, you know, you got to pick your battles. Okay, that's an interesting political question. Next book's I already have my next book cooking. It's a spin-off on this book. Okay.
Same characters?
It's a spin-off of one of these characters, and some of these characters will be in it, yeah.
Okay, I have to ask
Yes.
a day for you in Miami. What's your Miami? What do you enjoy to do?
I get up and go to work every day, like everybody else, and I have a 14-year-old, and I have a very small group of friends, and it gets smaller by every year that goes by. You know, it's like, oh my God, another 5 years I'll have only one left will be Jason. And that's because I'm going to have to pay him, so he'll be my paid friend. But, you know, I have a normal life, you know. It doesn't look like it, but I really do. I get in the trenches. I have a lot of fun. I like, you know, my own little world. I know it looks like I love to get all dolled up and go out and everything, but that's not who I am. I do that. It's kind of like dancing for your dinner, you know? So I do it. And I have fun once I'm there. Like, I guess like going to church, like, oh, you dread it, then you're there and you have fun. But I'm really kind of a homebody, and I really like to just like spend time with quality people. I'd rather be home reading a book or taking a bath or hanging out with my kid or my dogs than be out with a bunch of superficial people talking about how long it took to get their nails done at the salon. That's the book. That's the book. And that's a lot about what I wrote about is the hilarity of the superficialness of everybody. And we all have it. We all do it. We all live it. But underneath it, hopefully there's more than that, you know? Hopefully. Okay, who's next? Yes.
So I commend you on your charitable work. You're a role
Come on in, you guys. Come on in. Come on in. Sit on the floor. Get up here. Come on back there. Come on. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You're a role model of your
Come on in.
so I want to commend you
This is
on
casual.
that.
Yeah.
My question for you is, given that you've done so much with your
This is
life,
casual. Here's some seats.
what three things are on your bucket list that you have not done that you'd like to do as a part of your life?
3 things I haven't done I'd like to do. Well, I'd like to write a New York Times bestseller book since I'm now in the game. Why not? I'd like to make enough money that I could help everybody that I know that needs money because I feel so bad for so many people that are struggling so hard, and the people that know me know that that's really who I am, and that's what I believe, and that's what I do, and the rest of them say I do it and make fun of it, and I don't really care. But I really would love to have so much prosperity that like I could just help everyone that's struggling that deserves it. Not the ones that don't deserve it, but the ones that deserve it. And third, let's see, I don't know, I'd have to really think about it. I hope my kid becomes a really good person. Huh? What?
Would you ever do Dancing with the Stars?
Oh my God, would I? Well, I think Lisa fainted on that, didn't she? It's funny, you know, my first job was at Fred Astaire Ballroom Dancing. So would I? I don't know. Do they let 80-year-old women on there anymore? I mean, I'll put it this way. If I could wear red carpets and white lies T-shirts, I'd do it. How about that? If I could sell my book, I'll do it. How's that? Okay. Next. Oh, my God. You're such a quiet group. Okay, good.
Which character in the book will you play?
If I were going to be in the movie, I'd have to be a cameo. I don't have the attention span for a long script, unless I could ad-lib. But it'd have to be the main character, because the main character is the one that writes about her experiences of the gala and all the people in Miami. So that was kind of based on me, and there's some truth in it. There's some truth in all of these characters and a whole lot of fiction. I'll leave it up to you to decide what part of it's true. Of course, I had to make myself look good. No, I'm just kidding. Yes.
Would you have a star in the film if they're made?
Oh, I'd probably do a cameo or something like that. I don't never consider. Oh my God, John Minute! I never consider myself like a big, like actress type, but I'd probably like ham it up a little bit, maybe for a little cameo. You're setting my sights really high now. Well, but first let's sell the book, and then we got to get the movie, and then we got to get the TV series, and we got the Broadway play. We have a lot to do. I'm counting on you guys to do all this. Okay, who else? Yes.
Any inspiration from Housewives that we can look for?
There was a little bad behavior, and you might see a little imitation of it throughout a few characters. Think ones that take 5 hours to get dressed, pump up a lot, fabricate stories. Think along those lines, see if you recognize any people. But none of these characters are really written about any of the housewives. However, the next book, the spin-off book, is going to be about, well, I don't want to tell you this ending, but there's a character in the book. What I love about this book, everybody in this book gets exactly what they deserve in the end. The good people, the promoters, the bad ones, the corrupt ones, the crooked ones, the ones that want to be famous, everybody gets what they deserve in the end. This next book's going to be a spinoff on one of the characters that got what she asked for, but she should have gone further in defining the conditions of it. And it's going to kind of be a little satire on who people are in public and who they are really. That may be a little bit more about it. But I didn't think any, well, I'll just say generally, all my characters are very interesting. So that limits the pool. Okay. I saw a hand. Yes.
What would you say was one of your favorite parties that you've been to in the last 20 years?
Yours?
Besides
Research yours? The Madonna one with you?
Specifically.
The best parties, Jason, what are the best parties we've been to? I think ours. I think our galas are the best parties, minus the fact we're working like 24 hours. But have there been any other great parties we've been to?
When you were here in the 90s. And you
Oh,
first,
those parties? Your parties, the nightclub parties, Bar Room, Liquid, your parties, Antonio's parties, the Capone's, those were the parties. Roy and I used to go to those nightclubs and stay up till 5 or 6 in the morning before RJ was born. I don't know how we did it either. I was your best customer. And by the way, I don't drink that much. And all my friends would always say, I don't know how you do this straight. And I'm like, I don't either, because you guys, after a while, if you drink too many, you're not as much fun. But yeah, those what I would say were my best parties. And a lot of these fabulous parties are showcased in the book. The red carpet, the VIP section, who's there, the who's cheating, the pictures to prove it all. A lot of that scandal is in the book. You may recognize a couple of them. I mean, you're in the book as a cameo, as yourself. Yeah. Antonio, I think you might be in the book as a cameo. Mm-hmm.
Having not read beyond the first
Yes.
5 pages,
Okay.
I'm wondering, is there a lesson to be learned? Do your characters all learn and grow, or are you hopeful for the Miami?
There's a lesson to be learned in the end, because in the end, everybody gets to see that they really did get what they deserved. So that would be the lesson. And that's really how the lesson is in life. You know, sometimes when things aren't working out the way I think they should, I'm like, well, how did I attract this, and who am I being, and how did I set this up? And yeah, that's kind of like I deserved that, even though I didn't expect it, want it, or think I maybe deserved it. But there's not a lot of personal growth in this book. No, this isn't one of those, I'm going to learn that 5 hours of Botox doesn't help me. This is one of those, I'm going for 6 hours. It's one of those. Okay, uh-huh.
So out of everyone that you've met,
Yes.
famous or not,
Yeah.
who has inspired you the most and why?
Well, you're probably not, some of you won't agree with this. I really, of the people that I've met that are alive on the planet today, I would have to say Barack Obama. And I would have to say that, and I know a lot of people don't like him, but whether you agree with him or not, for somebody that really started with no contacts in the world, that is, you know, from the black community, that to make it to the President of the United States and the world today with as much prejudice that's going on, I'm sorry, that's a remarkable achievement, whether you agree with him or not. So that's an inspiration. It should be an inspiration to everybody. So the fact he got there is what I'm referring to. Okay? Question, and we're going to wrap this up in about 5 minutes so we can go sign books. Okay.
Sometimes it feels in Miami like these are like the last days of Rome, you know. Come on down and join the party while we sing, you know. And then all the books that are written about Miami are all about, you know, the fluff and the dirt and all the wild, crazy nonsense that's, you know, and it's just going on your place. Is there anything else in Miami to say?
Jason, do you want to see if those people that came from out of town want to just come in for the last few minutes and come in over here down the back? Well, you know what? Miami is kind of the best and worst of everything. It really is. It's the best of charity and the worst of charity. It's the best of character and it's the worst of character. It's the best of human behavior and the worst of human behavior. If you think the bar can't get any lower, someone will get down in the gutter. You know, if you, it is every day a surprising city to live in. The other thing about Miami is it's people, we live where people come to vacation, so we attract all the riffraff plus all the fabulousness, you know? And if you think about Miami, how do you define it? I mean, you know, like every city kind of has a personality. Miami's just random, you know? And people just come here and reinvent themselves. I mean, you could know someone 10 years and find out they were a serial killer. I mean, it just wouldn't surprise you. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, you were that guy that was in jail for 35 years? Really? Who knew? Because they come here and they reinvent themselves, and no one ever questions it. I mean, I see people at a dinner party here amongst astute people that if they went to New York, the doorman wouldn't let them in the door. You know, so on the other hand, there are so many people that do good things in Miami, and they're not even really recognized for it. There's a lot of quiet do good here that you don't hear about. So Miami is it's an endless place for storylines for books like mine. It's an endless place for people that need my husband to represent them. It's an endless place for parties and the nightclub scene like Antonio and Ingrid are into. And there's no limit to what Miami is. How do you define it?
Okay, so if you're not here,
yes.
100 years ago, you didn't meet Roy.
Yeah.
Where would you be?
Well, I was born and raised in Texas, and I've lived so many places. I've lived in Puerto Rico for years. I lived in Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, Austin. I've lived Miami, Palm Beach, West Hollywood. No, not Atlanta. No, Dallas, Houston, San Antonio. But if I weren't going to live in Miami, I would probably pick Los Angeles because I live there half the time anyway, and I'm familiar with it, and I like it, and I like the weather, and I just love the vibe of the city. So that's probably where my second choice would be. But there are a lot of places I haven't been, so it's really hard to say that, you know. I know where I wouldn't live. Okay. I saw a hand. Okay. Yes.
It's not a question. I just wanted to say that I admire you. I don't know if you, a mutual friend, Dennis Kendrick, I don't know.
Yes.
I wanted to do something, and he said, go see this lady, amongst other things.
Right.
Do. And I've been involved in committees and trying to help make charities happen, and it happens, you know, with the list of little ladies that don't really do much, and you blew me away.
Oh, thank you.
She got up there and said, you're going to do this, you're going to do that, and if you're here for the wrong reason, then you're out of here, you got to sign this. I'm like, you go, girl. I was like, blowing away.
Oh, my God. She's been to a few charity meetings. I run the charity like a cheerful dictator, and I run it like a business because at the end of the day, you have to make money. And if you just pick up the phone and order everything, you're going to pay for everything. You're not going to make any money. So I really try to run it like a business, and not everybody likes it. But you know what? I'm just not interested in spending 5 hours deciding whether the invitation is going to be red, blue, or baby shit green. I mean, pick a color next, you know. And so that's how I kind of am my life. I'm kind of bottom line, and not everybody gets it, and not everybody likes it. But, you know, not everybody's meant to like everybody, not everybody's meant to be friends. As long as you're not having your success at other people's expense, I don't think it matters what and how, as long as it's, you know, you have some integrity about it. So I just don't do it at other people's expense, and beyond that, I do whatever I want to do. Ask my husband. Okay. Next, do we have any more questions? Oh, little one back there. What? Oh, thank you. So sweet. She's a little housewife fan back there. Thank you so much. These lights are better, I guess, than most. Do we have any more questions? Yes.
Just one
Yes.
tiny one. What advice, if you could think of a piece of advice to give to young girls,
Yeah.
what would that one thing be of everything you've learned?
For young girls today, I would say stay off the social media, the Twitters and the Instagrams, and live your life. I would say that, and I would say always remember that everything you do has a consequence, good or bad. And if you live by the consequence principle in life, everything you do matters. And when everything you do matters, your choices become different. That's probably what I would say. But that was off the top of my head. I'd probably think about it. Okay. Does anybody else have anything? I thought I saw Jason answering, I was like, if you don't know everything by now, I don't know what to tell you. Does anybody have any questions? I want to thank you all so much for coming. It really means a lot to me. I'm just like so happy that it didn't deluge. I'm so happy that you all showed up. I hope you'll all get the book. I hope you'll all read the book. I hope you'll all tell your friends to buy the book online or come and see us at your bookstore, Books and Books, in Bell Harbor on the 3rd floor on May the 2nd at 2 o'clock. Good excuse to go shopping. And I'm going to be in New York City at the Union Square bookstore on the 13th of May. And Bookends in New Jersey on the 12th of May, and on Sunset at what's the Book Soup in West Hollywood on June the 2nd. So if you'll share that with your friends, and it's always on my Leah Black Miami Twitter or my Facebook, but I really appreciate it. I would love to see Miami have a successful story. I'd love to see Miami showcased in limelight, and I'd love for people to say, oh my God, is that how they really live down there? I want a piece of that, you know? And so it's really been fun, and if anybody doesn't have any questions, if you already have your book, I'll do it really quick here. Otherwise, we'll meet over there. You can get your books, and we'll sign them over there. Okay? Thank you.
So easy. Folks, we have the books for sale both at the east side and the west side counter, and Ms. Black will be signing on the west side. Thank you. Folks, we need to get this room.